A limpid and crystal clear sea, unique and wonderful landscapes, ancient legends and millennial traditions. A people whose hospitality became a way of life. We are in Villa San Giovanni, 15 kilometers from Reggio Calabria, where a strip of sea 3 kilometers long divides continental Italy from Sicily. The city, land of the fairy Morgan, extends along the coast and turns into low hills towards the west and northwest, from where one can enjoy a splendid view of the Straits of Messina. Few places in the world offer such a combination of naturalistic views, atmospheres and sensations, which are this charming and diverse. A city with 14,000 inhabitants and known as the Gate of Europe, Villa San Giovanni takes root in the mists of time. Of its history of conquerors, Greek, Roman, Aragonese, Bourbon, there remain but few traces due to the disastrous earthquake on the 28th of December 1908, which occurred on the Straits. Resurrected upon its ruins, Villa San Giovanni was replicated more beautiful than before in the enchanting waters of the Straits. If not like a queen, at least like a sister of two beautiful cities, deeming it worthy of its crown. It is so that the historian Nicola Leoni described this land in his De Magna Grecia of the last century. With its well-chosen geographical position, Villa San Giovanni serves as the principal port to Sicily. From the port, there is a ceaseless stream of ferries, which plough through the straits daily to dock at the port of Messina and back again. On average, the daily traffic that crosses the straits in both directions is made up of 6,300 cars and 3,300 commercial vehicles, as well as 28 passenger trains and 38 freight trains. During the high season, the volume of vehicles accessing the ferries is at least doubled. The crossing lasts about half an hour. The landscape is enchanting and striking. On one side is Scilla, and on the other side is Cariddi, while in the surrounding waters are fishing boats braving the violent currents. At times, the boats are immobile in the middle of the sea, as if an invisible hand is stopping them. It is a battle of strength between man and the forces of nature, which here can overpower man. It is a noisy sight with currents flowing like a turbulent river for 6 hours in one direction and 6 hours in the opposite direction, trailing for up to 100 meters a minute. A period of calm prevails for only an hour between the change of current from one direction to the other. It is a remarkable and majestic spectacle, constant but never the same, and one which always amazes. The currents are challenged by man during the crossing of the straits. A sporting contest which has been going on since 1954 and starts from Lighthouse Point to Villa San Giovanni. The athletes, surrounded by a myriad of colorful boats, form a link that resembles a ring and swim from one bank of the straits to the other in a very short amount of time. In about 40 minutes, the swimmers reach the other side of the Straits of Messina. The shared sentiment among the participants is that this is more than a contest. It is a truly emotional experience. But the Straits of Messina are not only the setting for passing ships and currents or majestic constructions such as a possible bridge, but also the true spectacle of the Fairy Morgan, which is perfectly visible from the Villese coast. The legend says that the Fairy Morgan, half-sister of King Arthur, is sheltered on Etna, and from there she wields her power with fantastic mirages. And with particular atmospheric conditions, the refraction of Sicily on the water is altered and the island is reflected on the sea, seeming as if one can reach out and touch it. This enchanting phenomenon has always been studied from the shores of the straits, but science is often set aside to allow our eyes to enjoy such a breathless spectacle. Today, the city has a modern and tidy establishment. Passing through the streets, one can admire the Norman-style cathedral, the statue of Garibaldi made in 1889 by the Villese sculptor Rocco La Russa, and the monumental old fountain that dates back to 1829. In the south of Villa San Giovanni, there is the Acciarello quarter, where many renowned Villese families were born. In this district, one can admire ancient residences, which are among the most architecturally valued in the city. Structures worthy of mention are the Church of Saint Cosma and Saint Damiano, and the monument dedicated to Professor Rocco Caminiti, eminent doctor and deputy of the Parliament in the 25th legislature of the Kingdom of Italy. In the center of the city, there is the town library. The structure serves an important role in the library system of the Straits. With its 63,000 volumes, it is considered a principal cultural reference for scholars and researchers. Of considerable interest is the Natural History Museum of the Straits of Messina, which, with its many treasures, traces the geological, biological and anthropological history of the territory. The collections inside are diverse and include the vast shell collection and the valued mineral collection. The popular tradition section of the museum is most interesting, particularly its fishing display, which reconstructs the ancient tradition of the swordfish hunt. This tradition is also told by Domenico Modugno in a famous song, and it is practiced nowadays from May to September aboard special felucca boats. Moving from the center of Villa to the north, one arrives at Pezzo of Villa San Giovanni. Here, among low houses, is the lighthouse of Pezzo, the beacon of the north entrance of the straits. The beach of Pezzo represents a true natural oasis. The currents of the straits establish an excellent climate, which favors the reproduction of many sea species. Continuing along the promenade, one arrives at Cannitello, the true heart of the straits. It is a place full of charm for scuba diving enthusiasts and sea lovers. Here, the district building hosts the Maritime Museum, which collects accounts of maritime traditions and military marine honors. In 1969, on the ocean floor off the beach of Porticello, the so-called Head of the Philosopher, a rare Greek bronze portrait dating back to the 5th century before Christ, was discovered inside the wreckage of a Greek ship. Today, it is kept in the National Museum of Magna Grecia of Reggio Calabria. The beach resembles a postcard photograph. Its fine and golden sand, the small boats pulled onto the shoals, and in the background, the lookout tower of the 16th century, the famous horse tower, make this corner a perfect place to relax. From here, Sicily is very close. On the northern boundary of the Villese territory, there is the small town of Santa Trada, where luxuriant Mediterranean vegetation surrounds limpid waters, and cliffs appear above the surface to take the form of seals or sea lions. Leaving the coast, one arrives at the Pilone, which at one time was used to support cables for the electricity supply between Sicily and the mainland. The landscape is fantastic. The Bay of Cannitello, Cape Peloro, the Umbuto of the Straits of Messina, the outline of the tip of Milazzo, and the Aeolian Islands. From the Pilone of Santa Trada, begin hiking trails to reach Melia and Aspromonte, providing excursionists with remarkable nature views of firs, pines, and beaches. The territory of Villa is not only rich of notable touristic opportunities thanks to the beauty of its landscape, but it is also an active center for artisans and small and medium-sized businesses. This last inclination has existed here since the very early 1700s, when the city was famous for its silk production. The many spinning mills gave the villa the name Little Manchester. In 1930, the last active spinning mills closed to give way to the production of nylon, and all mulberry plantations were transformed into citrus groves. Today, the few existing remains of the numerous old spinning mills, with their brick chimneys, serve as examples of industrial archaeology. Villa San Giovanni is also a hilly place. The community of Piale is an authentic terrace on the sea, from where one can admire the enchanting view of the straits as far as Cape Peloro. The battleground where Garibaldi's troops fought the Bourbons of Melendez on 23 of August 1860, the community of Piale became the strategic point of defense of the straits, with the construction of Beleno Fort around 1888. The community of Piale was honored in the chronicles of European history in 1810, when the King of Naples, Gioacchino Murat, set out from Naples to conquer Sicily, which was still under Bourbon rule. Murat arrived at the camp situated in Piale and from there governed the kingdom for 4 months. During his brief stay, Murat commanded the construction of 3 forts of the Torre Cavallo, Alta Fiumara and Piale, the latter with a telegraphic tower. Gioacchino Murat, observing Messina and the splendid scenery of the straits from Piale, is said to have exclaimed, "I've been around the world, but I've never seen a landscape so wonderful. This is the most beautiful spot of my kingdom." Even the Villese cuisine seems influenced by the diverse cultures which have touched the area. Thanks to the unique riches the land provides, one can enjoy one-of-a-kind dishes with unmistakable flavors, fish of every variety, swordfish and authentic delicacies, fish fritters, pickled anchovies and traditional cheeses. Citrus cultivation produces oranges, lemons and bergamots, which are used for many Villese confectionery products. Among these are piparelle, made with almonds, which are recognized as the official pastry of the city. Today, Villa San Giovanni is a welcoming and sunny city with a unique view of the sea. Projects in the city will serve to increase its value and further architectural innovation. Unique panoramas, immaculate lands, a crossroad of cultures. Villa San Giovanni, a sea of emotions. Unique panoramas, immaculate lands, a crossroad of cultures. Villa San Giovanni, a sea of emotions.